Welcome back to part 2 of this week's episode of Student of the Gun Radio. I am still your host, Professor Paul Markle, and thank you for joining us. And I am still joined in the studio, that is the Student of the Gun Studios, with our black carbon steel microphones. And if you're watching on YouTube, Jared is yet again recording this particular segment of Student of the Gun Radio. He's going to be putting it up on our Student of the Gun YouTube channel. And that's the specific Student of the Gun YouTube channel is Student of the Gun TV. Is that correct, Jared?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Student of the Gun TV YouTube.
I had to run through my head which one it was there for a second because we do the homeroom videos and it's SOTG Homeroom.
That's right, SOTG Homeroom. Well, and we also, how do they say, well, Paul, you've got so much social media, I don't know how to get to all of it. Where can they go? What is the one central hub that everyone can go to, and then they can link to the various social medias from there? Where is that, Jared?
Studentofthegun.com. And if you're on the go a lot, you can get it on your phone, your iPad, your tablet, your any kind of mobile device that you have, other than Windows Phone. I'm sorry. That's coming in the future, but you can't get that right now. So go buy an Android or an Apple phone.
Or an Apple phone. Okay, yeah. But people are like, well, what's your specific Instagram name? What's your specific Twitter name? What's your specific? Go to studentofthegun.com, and in the top on the upper right hand side, there's little icon buttons for everything.
Yeah, that's not going to be there for very long.
Well,
I might keep it. I might keep it up there for you guys. I'll make a rotating picture, so it'll be up there. But there's also going to be more information there as well. Speaking of more information, I'm sitting over here right now, and I won't be talking very much because I'm working very diligently on our Pistol 101, our Beyond the Band-Aid, and our Ballistic Problem Solving classes. I want to get these opened up to you guys so you can go enroll. The Beyond the Band-Aid is available right now. If you go to Bob, that's bob.studentofthegun.com, you can check that out. And if you've been listening to the radio, or you've heard us on somebody else's radio, or you're a subscriber, then you have a specific discount that you have received, and you can use it there.
That's right. Just this week, yours truly, Paul Markle, I was a guest on the Big and Wild Outdoors. Big and Wild Outdoors Radio is produced out of Tampa, Florida, but via the magic of podcast, you can hear it everywhere on planet Earth. And Braden Gunn and Glenn, those guys are my buddies over there. And we talked a little bit yesterday morning about what's going on. We talked some silencers and suppressors. We talked about training. We talked about the fact that good guys can and do bleed as well as bad guys. And sometimes, good people end up with holes in them. And what are you going to do? Hold their hand and watch them bleed to death? Or are you actually going to do something? And, Jared, I guess that is the rub. It's if you find yourself in a situation where someone you care about, someone you love, or someone maybe you have never met before, but you're a kind and generous person, and you're a human and you care for them, and you say, wow, this person looks like they're about to bleed to death, or they could potentially bleed to death here at my feet. You're going to want to do something, unless you're a monster, unless you're just freaking a monster. You're going to want to do something, and that's cool. But the big question is, will you be able to do something effective to save that person's life? And there's a big difference between the desire and the ability. Everybody has desire. Well, not everybody has desire. Some people have desire, and fewer people have ability. And that's what this is all about. It's not just about the desire. It's about the ability, the skill, and the gear. It doesn't do you any good to go shopping online and buy a bunch of gear if you have no idea what you're doing, if you don't have the skill to go with it. Combination of skill and gear, that's what you need. Now, let's jump right into, well, we already did kind of, but let's jump into this week's part 2, episode 67. And this is a little bit special. We're going to talk about first-time gun carriers. And we're going to spend the vast majority of this episode dealing with questions, comments, concerns, a little bit of myth and mythology surrounding being a gun carrier. And we've got a go team moment, and that's how we want to go ahead and start this off, because this was a situation where someone was an armed good guy. And it's a special place in my heart because the armed good guy was a United States Marines, as yours truly, Paul Markel, a United States Marine. And this comes to us from ABC13.com. It says this title of the story is Witness shoots robbery suspect at GameStop, and the subtitle is Veteran Kills Robbery Suspect. Now, the veteran in this case, it was a United States Marine veteran, and he was having lunch. It said he was having lunch at a strip mall, and he noticed two men wearing hoodies and masks, carrying guns, get out of a car and go into a GameStop. And he says, this is a 28-year-old man who was a lawful concealed carry permit holder. He knew something was up, and it says that he told someone at Quiznos, call 911. The store next door is being robbed. Well, he gets out there and bam, runs right into these two armed robbers. Well, what did our hero do? Well, he shot him. You're like, oh, he shot the armed robbers? Yeah. You know what, folks? All of you heroes out there in America, all you citizens, all you people that are sick of felons and scumbags and thieves terrorizing your communities and neighborhoods, if you shoot the robbers, there are less of them. You don't even need to know Common Core math to realize that. So, yes, he engaged them, engaged the armed robber, shot one. One is dead. The second one was fled but was arrested. So we got one dead bad guy, we got one in custody bad guy, and we got one good guy who was armed, prepared, and ready to go. And we want to give this devil dog, we want to give him a go team moment. Fantastic. And when we examine this situation, the great thing about this situation is it wasn't a mix mosh of, oh, maybe this guy did what he knew he needed to do. He was paying attention, awareness. Aha, where have we heard that before? Was paying attention not just to his little tiny world, but the world around him. And he saw something that was going wrong. And he realized, okay, I know how things are supposed to be. I know how things are normal. And when you see things out of the ordinary, your radar you should get a blip on your radar there. And he didn't just run out there and confront him. He told someone, get the good guys rolling. Call 911, get the good guys on their way. But are they going to be there immediately? No, they're not going to be there immediately because that's not the way the world is. You can't snap your fingers and have, your savior rescue right there. Sometimes it has to be you. So he confronted these bad guys, and now there are two less felons, robbers, scumbags in the Houston area. Now, I'm sure there's still plenty of scumbags in the Houston area, but there are two less.
So we're talking about something in Texas right now. Can we talk about something else that's been going on in Texas? The open carry movement?
Nope, not going to talk about it.
Well,
okay, go ahead, Jared. What do you want to talk about?
I just wanted to...
Because it annoys the ever-loving crap out of me.
Yeah, it annoys all of us responsible gun owners. And I just I wanted to reach out to the people that think that they're helping. And can you give them advice on what they need to do that's not what they're doing? How can they further? Because I'm sure that in their mind, they want to push where we want to push, and that's towards constitutional carry.
Constitutional carry, yeah.
But they're doing it the wrong way, and they're ruining it for a lot of other people.
Well, I'll give it to you this way. If you think that strapping an SKS or a Ruger Mini 14 or whatever over your back and walking into a restaurant makes you some kind of a folk hero, you're delusional. Why do we carry handguns, Jared? Why do we carry handguns?
Because we can't carry long guns?
No. Well, no.
To get to a long gun?
Okay.
Okay.
I threw you a loaded one there. The reason we carry handguns, you carry a handgun when there is basically 0.01 chance of you having to need it. We carry handguns when we don't think we're going to need them. You're like, well, what do you mean, Paul? No. A handgun is just something that you have as a stopgap because you don't think you're going to need a gun. If you know you're going to need a gun, if you know you're going to a fight, you take a long gun. It's as simple as that. Handguns will never be, handguns are not the greatest man stoppers in the world. They're not the greatest fight stoppers. And you say, well, if that's the case, why do we carry them? We carry them because they're like seat belts or fire extinguishers or first aid kits. We're not planning to use it. If you had a 4-alarm fire, would you take a 5-pound fire extinguisher, or would you take a truck that had 2,000 gallons of water? If you knew you had a fire, well, I'd take a truck with 2,000 gallons of water. Yeah, no kidding. If you knew you were going into a fight, would you take a handgun or a rifle? Well, if you're smart, you would take a rifle because a rifle is a better stopper. So we don't carry, and I'll ask you guys this, is carrying an SKS and it seems to me it's always these people carrying these retarded lame guns, and I'm sorry if you like SKSs, they work, whatever, go on with your life. But do you do that as a matter of course? Is that how you go about each and every day? You get up, you strap your SKS over your back empty, and you walk out in public? That's how you live your life every day? It's how you go to the grocery store, how you go to the movies, how you go to work? No, that's not. Then why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Let me tell you what. If somebody and these idiot posers in the restaurants and places that whip their guns around and pose with them, if you walk into a building with a long gun in your hand, why do we carry long guns? Because we know we're going to a fight. We're deliberately going to a fight. If you see someone with an open carry pistol in a holster, that is safety belt, that is a fire extinguisher, that is a first aid kit, that is a just in case. I'm not planning to use it, but I have it here as a stopgap. If you put a rifle or a shotgun in your hands and walk into a store and I see you, I'm going to think you're there to do bad things. Because why? Because why do people carry long guns?
To go to a fight.
Because they're planning on using them. Do you carry a long gun when you go grocery shopping? When you take your family to the movies? No, you don't. And we're too far into this right now. But let me tell you what. Open carry is not you and your buddies strapping shotguns and rifles to your backs and walking into a restaurant. That's not open carry. That's not what open carry is supposed to be all about. Open carry is having a holstered sidearm that you could carry just in case of an emergency. And you knuckleheads, you ones who think that the senators and congressmen and the governor are going to get behind you and change the law based upon your knucklehead actions, it's not going to happen. And you're like, well, Paul, hang on, you supported the Starbucks thing and so forth. No, I never for 1 minute, for 1 second, thought that people would go walking into a Starbucks with a Remington or a Mossberg 500 strapped over their backs. I never for 1 second thought that gun owners were stupid enough to put an SKS over their back and walk into a Starbucks. What is the purpose of that?
An empty one at that.
What is the purpose of doing that? Is it to gratify your own ego? Are you planning to use it? It's ridiculous. And that's why people who are on our side won't get behind the open carry movement. And I said before, here in Mississippi, and Jared's got me into this, you suck.
Sorry, but
see what you did?
We people come to us for advice, and we need to give it to them.
Well, and you say, well, hang on, Paul, you don't backtrack. You said that that open carry takes guts. Yeah, legitimate, reasonable, intelligent open carry. Open carry is having a pistol and a holster on your side that isn't necessarily concealed, or might. And in Mississippi, we have open carry. We do, because the governor signed the law. And I said to you guys out there in the audience that it takes guts for a governor to sign a bill allowing citizen open carry, because that the media is going to crucify him. All the crybaby organizations, the Nanny Bloomberg-funded organizations, and the moms demand more bedroom action. They're going to cry and whine and throw a fit. So for when you get a governor to put his name on a piece of legislation that is pro-gun, that is a big deal. And you're trying to get Rick Perry or the next governor of Texas to put their signature on an open carry bill. It's not going to happen because you keep acting like jackasses, and you need to stop it.
I've got a question for all of you guys that have been involved in this movement. If the open carry bill is signed, Are you going to carry the exact same gun that you were carrying around when you were trying to get the bill passed? No. Then why are you doing it?
Yeah, no. Is that how you get up in the morning, you put your clothes on, you strap a Mossberg 500 over your shoulders and go to work?
I've seen plenty of people open carrying here in Mississippi, and not once have I seen anybody open carrying a long gun because it's not practical.
No, it's not what you do. You carry a long gun when you know you're going to a fight. It's not a prop. It's not some kind of a political tool. It's a fighting tool.
And how many of you have trained you've got a rifle or a shotgun strapped across your back? How are you going to get to it if you need it? I'm willing to bet. How are you going to get to it if you get knocked on your back?
Well, and the guys that drape them over their front, dudes, that's menacing. And if I was a police officer, I used to be a cop. If I was a police officer and I'm out on patrol and I see a guy get out of his car, reach in, put a rifle in his hands and walk into a business, you're going to get ventilated, because that is not, I have this just in case, as a self-protection tool. You put a rifle in your hands and walk into a building, you're there to do something. And you can't say, oh, no, I'm just here to shut up. You're being an idiot. And, write me letters, whatever, do what you want. But you're embarrassing us. And he's like, well, you talk about how Arizona's open carry and you don't have a problem with that. Yeah, I don't have a problem with Arizona being open carry, because people don't walk into Starbucks or the grocery store in Arizona with freaking SKSs strapped over their backs, or Ruger Mini 14s with $857 worth of accessories on them. I don't even know what that's all about. There was that one idiot poser at Chipotle or whatever, got more freaking accessories. He's got more money in accessories strapped to his Mini 14 than the gun cost. Scopes and chokes and all the kinds of weird craziness.
I think it's, how cars are plus 10 horsepower for every sticker?
Oh,
I think guns are plus 100 ego points for every accessory
for every extra superfluous add-on. Yeah.
So that wasn't in our show notes.
Thanks for getting me all revved up, Jared.
Sorry, but it needed to be talked about. That wasn't in our show notes, and we're kind of running over here. So let's go on to the...
Good job, Butthead.
The next subject. You just have to make them quick.
Oh, I'm supposed to rush now? No, you don't rush me, and you don't put baby in a corner. Those are the two things you don't do.
You don't put baby in a corner?
Everybody knows that. How many of you guys know that? You don't put baby in a corner. Nobody puts baby in a corner.
All right. What do we got next here?
Okay. Next, we're going to talk about our fine sponsors, XS Sights, Keltec Weapons, Cocoa, Florida, Crossbreed Holsters, and of course, XS Sights is in Fort Worth. I shouldn't mention that. Crossbreed of Republic, Missouri, and Colt, the manufacturers of the LE901 rifle. If you really are going to a fight and you know you need a gun, you take something like a Colt LE901.
And why is that the perfect weapon for somebody who is going to a fight?
Well, the Colt LE901 is the perfect deployment gun because it is a .308 Winchester, and you can convert it almost immediately to 5.56 and use either .308, Magpul mags, or 5.56 Magpul mags, or any kind of Magpul or any kind of AR-15 magazine.
Right. It's 30 seconds or less. You can convert it from a .308 to a 5.56.
You change out the upper receiver, the buffer, and the buffer spring. Bam. It's that simple. All right. This next one, this also comes to us from ABC13.com out of Houston, Texas. It's the same news source that we got our first story about the good guy, the go team moment there in Houston. Now we have a not so much go team moment. And the title of this story is Fast Food Customers Terrified by Armed Suspects. Uh-oh. It was a scary night for customers at a Northwest Houston McDonald's after they tell us they were held up by a group of armed robbers. Whoops. Where's our armed Marine? It happened 9:30 p.m. Saturday. That's just a Saturday right before we recorded this. And at Northwest Fairbanks, rewind. It happened around 9:30 p.m. Saturday at the restaurant, and this is that big yellow M restaurant on the Northwest Freeway near Fairbanks, North Houston. One customer said three men barged inside with guns drawn while another waited in a getaway car. Houston police surrounded the nearby neighborhood. So far, no word if anyone was arrested. And so that's all we have right now. So juxtapose that with the first one, where we got somebody who's an armed good guy, concealed carrier, paying attention to his surroundings, sees what's going on, tells people, call 911, get help on the way, I'm going to go take care of business. You got that, and then you have people that are just helpless and terrified by armed robbers. Now, fortunately, they were lucky. They didn't get herded into the back room. They didn't get randomly shot. Do you want to put your life in the hands of a bad guy, of an armed bad guy? Do you want to put your life in their hands? I don't. I want to be in charge of my own life. So that's there's two situations in Houston. One was a good guy moment, and one was a oh crap moment. Nobody here is an armed good guy. You say, well, but Paul, maybe I should just be quiet and do what I have to do. Maybe you should. But I tell you what, if being a good witness is your only recourse, sometimes that always doesn't work out. Now, folks, let's get into the meat here. Let's talk about being a first-time gun carrier. There's a lot of gun owners, and a lot of people that right now in the United States of America are first-time gun owners, and they want to be gun carriers. Let's face it, over the last 5 years, 6 years or so, we've sold more. Ask Ruger about concealed carry. Ruger has sold more of those little LCP pistols than they actually. I talked to Ken Jorgensen at Ruger several years ago, and he said we had absolutely no idea what we were doing or what the response was going to be. He said we did a production, an initial production order, and he said they were gone so fast that we had to change gears. We were thinking we were just going to do one production run, and that would fill us for, I think he said, 6 or 9 months. And he said they had to immediately ramp up and make more. And the reason is because you and your friends and your neighbors and your relatives and coworkers are all doing what? They're all going out and buying concealed carry guns so that they can be gun owners. And I think it's like, Jared, they did a survey, and keep doing what you're doing there. But there was a survey recently, and they asked people, why are you purchasing guns? I think it was the NSSF did it. And the number one reasons, and they're kind of the same, but one said one of the first reason was self-defense, self-protection. And then the next one was home defense or home protection. Well, those pretty much, tie together. But there is a difference between home defense and being a gun carrier, because at home people do things like what? Well, they put it on the nightstand, or they put it on the shelf, or they put it on their desk, or they put it wherever they can walk over and pick it up, but they don't actually carry it on their bodies. They don't leave their home with it attached to their bodies. Now, let's say you went out and you did everything you needed to do in your state, wherever you happen to be, and you got yourself a concealed carry permit. Or let's say you live in Arizona or Alaska or New Hampshire. You live in a constitutional carry state where you don't have to get permission. And Mississippi is a constitutional state, kind of. We're almost there, because you, in the state of Mississippi, if you are a citizen, you're a lawful citizen of the state, you can carry a gun open without any kind of special permission. You can have one, and we have a very strong castle doctrine in Mississippi, in your home, in your place of business, or in your motor vehicle. So, they say that your motor vehicle is an extension of your castle. It's an extension of your home. So, but if you're going to carry a gun every day, you should be in a situation, or you should put yourself in a situation where you can conceal the gun. And we're not talking about super deep concealment, hiding it in your underwear. We're just talking about keeping it out of the view of the general public. And how do you do that? Most people, especially if you pick a fighting size gun, like a Glock 19 size gun, or a Smith & Wesson M&P, or a Kar P45, or a Kar P9. We really like the Kar pistols for concealed carry. Or maybe you're talking about like a Keltec P380. P380 is a great pocket gun. If you're going to do that, it's probably something for a lot of you adults. If you've never been a police officer or somebody who carried a gun for a living, it's different to you. It's unique. It's different. And every time you put the gun on, it's like putting on a hot coal. You feel like everyone in the world knows that you're carrying a gun, and you're constantly aware of the fact that you're carrying a gun, and you feel like, like you're getting away with something, or you're out in town and you feel like you're trying to get away with something. Everybody will know. Everyone will know I have a gun on. And if you're not comfortable with it, you won't do it. And the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, am I serious about being an armed citizen? And you're like, well, of course I am. I bought a gun. No, buying a gun and a holster and ammunition doesn't make you serious about being an armed citizen. An armed citizen, you say, well, I carry my gun when I think I'll need it. Stop. Back up. If you're one of those people who have fallen into that trap, or you have allowed yourself to be lulled into that trap, well, I only carry if I think I need it. We talked about that before on the show, but I'm going to address it real quick because I think I got a lot of new people out there listening right now. First of all, if you wanted to play devil's advocate, if you go around in public telling people that you only carry when you think you'll need it, that's essentially premeditation. That's saying that the reason I'm carrying now is because I'm planning to use the gun. That's not why we carry guns, for self-defense, for self-protection. We carry them because we don't know what's out there. You don't know what's outside of your door. You don't know when you pull into the gas station that you're walking into a robbery, or that when you go to the grocery store that a lunatic, ex-husband is going to walk into the store with a gun looking for his wife, and you just happen to be there. You don't know that some drug-addicted scumbag is hanging out next to the ATM, and he's decided that the next person that walks up to it is going to get robbed or stabbed. You don't know. That is why we carry guns on a daily basis. That's why you don't carry a first aid kit because you think, oh, someone's going to bleed today, so I'm taking this kit. You don't buy a fire extinguisher, put it in your kitchen because you're planning to have a fire. Seatbelts, insurance, all that. I've used the insurance metaphor many, many times. Would you buy insurance for your automobile that only covered you on Saturday nights, Friday nights, and every other Wednesday? And you're like, well, no, Paul, that would be stupid. Why would I do that? I don't know when I'm going to have a car accident. I don't know when I'm going to be involved in a collision. I carry car insurance on my car that covers me all the time. Well, duh. That is exactly why you're carrying a handgun. It's life assurance. Life insurance only kicks in when you're room temperature. Life assurance works when you're still alive, when you're still kicking. So the first thing you need to ask yourself, and this is every man and woman out there listening to the sound of my voice, this is a gut check. This is when you look in the mirror and say, am I really serious about this, or am I just playing a game? And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that only carry when they think they're going to be able to show it off to their buddies at the gun shop or the range or the whatever. If you're serious about it, you're going to make a commitment to do it all the time. And you're like, well, you don't understand, Paul. You don't understand. I go to places all the time, all day long, where I'm not allowed to carry a gun. So I just don't even try. Okay, great. Then stop wasting your money on guns and ammo and holsters. If you've already given up, if you've already decided I'm just going to be one of the disarmed sheep just because, then stop wasting money on it. Spend your money on other things. Go to the movies, buy a new car or a motorcycle or something. But there's no point in you going out and investing money in handguns and ammunition and holsters and what have you if you're just going to keep them in the desk drawer at home or in your safe or what have you. No point in it. Just buy one gun, keep it by the bedstand, and drive on about your life. And I would ask this. This is a legitimate question. When someone tells you that, whether it's at your place of business or at a store or at a mall or at whatever, wherever you happen to be going, that you have to be disarmed because of safety. You can't carry a gun in here for safety reasons. And they always use that S word, safety, it's safer. And what I would ask them, and this is a very, very legitimate question, is exactly whose safety are you worried about? Whose safety are you concerned with? And they'll say, oh, for the safety of our customers and patrons, you must be disarmed. Well, those are the exact people that you are putting into danger, in jeopardy, such as, what did we just have? We had a fast food restaurant in Houston where everyone inside apparently, and we don't know, we didn't frisk everyone or scan them, but the people inside were all disarmed. So when someone tells you that you must be disarmed in the interest of safety, ask them, whose safety are they concerned with? Are they concerned with your safety, or are they concerned with the safety of the armed robbers, felons, and scumbags who don't pay any attention at all to plastic signs and stickers and all that? They're going to do what they want to do regardless. It's up to you to be responsible for yourself. So that's number one. If you're going to do it, do it. It's how many of you guys out there watch Karate Kid? Raise your hands. Okay. And what did Mr. Miyagi tell us? Karate do yes, karate do no. Karate do gesso, like walking in the center of road. I know I'm just hacking up Mr. Miyagi here, but he said either do it or don't do it. Do it gesso, sooner or later, like walking in the middle of the road, squish, just like grape. So, and I know I hacked that, but the truth is, it's very, very correct. He's like, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. Well, maybe, or once in a while, or if I feel like it, or if I feel nervous or whatever, bullcrap. That's not the way you go about it. You're either going to do it or you aren't. You're either going to make a commitment or you're not going to make a commitment. And don't give me this, well, you don't understand. I understand. I understand that in America today, it's hard for people to make commitments because everybody wants to leave themselves open for an out. But so you've made the decision. Bam. I'm going to be a gun carrier. I'm going to carry all the time when I'm able. Anytime I am able to carry, I am going to. And there is a difference between able and, Jared, what does Yeager say? Allowed.
Allowed.
Yeah, there's a difference between able and allowed. Now, if you went to public school, or even if you didn't, you might want to go ahead and get on dictionary.com and look up the difference between the words able and allowed. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So, number one, start by being aware and paying attention. It doesn't do you any good to have a gun, a Kimber with HydroShocks, in a holster on your body if you've got your head firmly ensconced up your rear end and don't see it coming. Pay attention. Be aware. If you're going to be an armed citizen, you have to realize that you have to be aware all the time. You mean I have to pay attention to my surroundings all the time, Paul? Yeah, you kind of do. Oh, well, forget it. That's just too hard for me. I'm going to go back to being a sheep. Okay, fantastic. See you later. Being aware can do several things for you. It can keep you from being involved in car crashes. It can keep you from being involved in accident-related injuries where you see it coming, so you avoid it. Being an aware person has a lot of benefits to it. And, we talked about this on other shows, but for instance, let's say you're carrying a gun. You have a gun over your strong side hip, whichever hip that is, it's left or right. And so what you do is when you're out in public, you habitually practice keeping your back to the wall, to a shelf, to a bookcase, to something where a person could not walk up behind you and touch or grab your gun. Well, what does that do? It makes you aware of your surroundings. You pay attention to what's going on. Now, the old going out to eat or going to the dinner or going into public, and people say, well, you should always face where you can see the door. And that's not a bad idea, where you can see, the main entrance or the main egress. But you also need to pay attention. What do we say in episode 1? Where are the doors? Where are the exits? Where's the emergency exit? Where's the closest exit that I didn't come into? Hey, Jared, over there on the other side, he's got that intense look on his face because he's working. All right, in episode 1, we put a pin in something that we weren't going to talk about until number 2. Go ahead and tell me what that is.
The pin that we put in something in episode 1 was the awareness game. And
the awareness game.
We like to play games.
Okay. This is how you teach your kids to pay attention to stuff. Now, when you get out in public, it's very, very easy to get mired down in your own life and your own world. And I need to get this. And you start focusing in like a laser. You walk into the local convenience store or whatever. And you're like, I got to get an X and a Y, and I'm driven. And you don't pay attention to what's going on around you. And we play a little game. I've been playing this game for years and years and years. Is when you're in your hometown or your home area, pay attention and look for people that you know, that you're personally acquainted with. And if you are able to walk up to a personal acquaintance, a friend, a relative, whatever, and tap them on the shoulder, if you see them before they see you, you get a point. You're like, maybe a notional point. But I actually had many, many years ago, I think it was my wife's concealed carry instructor. I did not teach my wife concealed carry. Guys, can you teach your wife anything? No, that would be the answer. So when it was time for my wife to get her permit, I went out and found an instructor. Well, this instructor, he would keep coupons in his wallet, like free Big Macs or whatever, give free cups of coffee or things like that. And he would keep these like little trinkets in his wallet. And he would tell the students, if you're able to approach me and touch me on the shoulder before I see you, I'll give you the free cup of coffee coupon or whatever, because I should be paying attention. And they made it into a game. And you say, well, it's a game, right? And I'm not worried about people that I know coming up and attacking me, Paul. So you're silly. Oh, stop yourself. Listen to what I'm saying. If you know what is commonplace, if you know what is correct, if you realize and are paying attention to what's going on around you, not only will you see the people that you know, not only will you see that things are going the way they're supposed to, but when things take that weird turn, when people start doing strange things, when a person starts acting unusual, or it's the guy walks into the store in June with a trench coat on, and you're like, it's June. Don't you think it's a little hot for a trench coat? Is everyone in your area is wearing flip-flops and sandals and T-shirts, and somebody comes in with a full-length jacket on? That would be a clue. Something's not going on. Something's strange here, and I should pay attention to this, because that may be the one and only clue you get. Now, with my kids, is it what is it? Southern Belle, right, Jared?
Yeah, that or the Guy Harvey.
Guy Harvey, yeah. Down here on the glorious Gulf Coast of Mississippi, there's a T-shirt brand, and they make them for women, and it's called the Southern Belle line of T-shirts. And they have all these funny, inspiring sayings on them and so forth, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere. You go into wherever, the shopping mall, the Walmart, the grocery stores, or whatever, and you see people wearing these shirts. And so what we started doing with the kids down here is we'd say, when we're out in public today, see how many Southern Belle shirts you can spot. And we had a contest who could, see the most of them. And then when we got tired of doing the Southern Belle shirts, we did the Guy Harvey shirts. Now, where you live, it might be something different. It might be see how many Mossy Oak ball caps you can spot or something like that. Or, you live in some big city, see how many St. Louis Cardinals ball caps you can see or what have you. But it got to the point where my kids, they wanted to win the game, so they were always paying attention to everybody that was going on around them. And that translates to awareness. How crazy is that? And once you train your brain, you're teaching yourself, you're training yourself to pay attention to what's going on around you. You're like, Paul, you're not talking about guns. You're not talking about ammo. No, I'm talking about your brain. It does you no good to have a gun and ammo and all kinds of gee-whiz gadgets on your body if your brain is not engaged. We got that? Okay, we got that. Let's talk about guns. You guys out there, a lot of you are saying, well, I don't know what to get. Or I already bought something, but I don't really like shooting it. It's not comfortable. I've only fired 27 rounds out of it, and I didn't enjoy it. If that is the case, get rid of it. Get something else. If you have a personal defense concealed carry gun that is uncomfortable, that you don't like shooting, number one, get some training from somewhere. If you get it from Student of the Gun, great, fantastic. Otherwise, get it from anybody. If you go through a training course with that gun and you still, feel that gun is it's not cutting it, get rid of it. There are thousands of guns in the world. You don't need to carry a gun that you don't like, is uncomfortable, and you don't have any confidence in. Now you say, well, okay, cool, but I don't have any experience with firearms. I just want to get one that's going to work. Rock on. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Find out what your local sheriff's department or your local police department is carrying. And you say, well, they carry SIG 226s, but those are really big and I don't want to carry one. Does SIG make a compact version of that? Yes, they do. Well, my local PD, they carry a Glock 22. Okay, does Glock make a compact version of that? Yes, they do. Smith & Wesson, same thing. You name it. If there is a full-size gun, chances are really, really high that there is a compact version of that exact same gun. You know, whether it's a Glock 17 or a Glock 19, a 226. And now I haven't been in the SIG catalog lately. SIG's kind of been notorious for, they release a model, the 228, and it stays out for a while and then it goes away, or 227 or whatever. But I'm not going to get into apples and oranges right now, but the chances are that if there is a full-size duty version of that gun, there's also a more compact, easily concealable and carryable version of that same gun. And so if you don't know anything about guns, just find out what the local PD or the local sheriff's carrying, get the compact version of that, and drive on. And the same thing really goes with ammunition. Now, ammunition is kind of like gun brand. People recognize certain names. They recognize Federal, or they recognize Winchester, or Remington, or Corbon, or, you name it. They recognize certain names, and they stick with those. And that's fine. That's cool. But you may not have, if you're a new gun carrier, you may have no brand loyalty at all. All those words mean the exact same to you. So it doesn't matter to you whether or not you have Corbon or Double Tap or, what have you. Well, that's cool. And what I want you to, and if you're worried about it, if you're like, well, I don't really know what I should carry or what's the right thing for me, you can really default back to the sheriff's department, police department thing as well. Find out what they're carrying. They're carrying a Remington Golden Saber. They're carrying HydroShocks. They're carrying Winchester Ranger. They're carrying Spear. They're carrying whatever. And get that. You're like, yeah, but they're police officers. They have special police officer only ammunition. No, they don't. The same companies that make ammunition for police officers are the same companies that make ammunition for you. So if you're really, really super bunged up about it or don't know what to do, that's a good place to go. Jared, how we doing on time, my brother?
We're coming up. Oh, wow. That was quick. We're on 42 minutes now.
Okay, let's talk about holsters, and this is a really appropriate conversation since we talked about crossbreed. Or what I want you guys to understand or realize is this: if you're going to carry a firearm in a holster secured to your body every day, you need to purchase a holster that was designed specifically for that gun. Now you're like, well, duh, Paul, that's a stupid thing to say. Of course it was. No, not really. Because there are many holsters out there that are one size fits most, one size fits several, many generic nylon stitched holsters that tell you that you can put anything in them. You can put SIGs and Glocks and Smith & Wessons and Berettas and all that in this holster. No. Stop yourself. All those things do is they're designed to keep dust off of the gun. That's it. It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to feel right. And I can tell you this. If you're using an inside of the waistband holster, and this is a big, big deal. If you're using an inside of the waistband holster that collapses every time you draw the gun out of it, you're handicapping yourself. Stop doing it. Well, what do you mean, Paul? Well, what I mean is if you get the gun out and you have to put it back, does the thing collapse down onto your body? Because what people will do, they'll draw from these things, or they'll get their gun out and they're like, oh, I got to put it back in there now. And then they end up playing this really super dangerous use my other hand to try and open the holster. Oh, my God. And then you end up pointing the guns at their hands. They end up pointing guns at their hips and their legs. Stop yourself. If you're serious about this, then you're serious enough to spend more than $11 on a holster. If you're going out there spending, oh, I got this holster and it'll work for every gun I have, stop yourself. You're playing a game. You're joking. Now, if you have a pocket gun, your pocket gun needs to be covered with something. You need to put it in a pocket scabbard, a pocket holster, whatever they like to call them, a pocket sleeve, something that will cover the trigger. And this question came up here recently. Someone asked me my opinion about it. This new pseudo holster design. If a product doesn't actually conceal, or if you can't put a gun into it, I don't really call it a holster. It's, something else, but it's not a holster. And if you're going to be carrying a gun, you need to carry it in some type of a device, some type of a sleeve or a scabbard, whether it's made out of leather or Kydex or whatever, product it is. It needs to cover the trigger. You should never be able to put your finger accidentally or negligently on a trigger that is in a holster, okay? And you're like, well, is that really that big of a deal? Yeah, it is really that big of a deal. Because what does the trigger do? The trigger is designed to make the gun go boom. Guns want to fire. Remember this. The gun wants to fire. That's what it's designed to do. If your gun had a mind, it would be sitting there thinking, oh, it would be like a Labrador laying by the front door. And in its mind, it'd be thinking, I want to fire, I want to fire, I want to fire, I want to fire. That's what the gun wants to do. If the gun goes bang, don't look surprised. It's supposed to go bang. That's what it's supposed to do. But it's only supposed to go bang when you want it to go bang. And when do guns go bang when we don't want them to? Quite often, it's when the trigger is exposed to your fingers, to clothing, to miscellaneous garbage that you put in your pockets. Don't do it. I don't care what brand of holster you buy. But if you're looking at a holster or a gun-carrying device and it does not cover and protect the trigger, keep looking. Just keep on moving, because that's not one that you're going to want to carry every single day. Because as a gun carrier, we're not carrying only when we're up, when we're fresh, when our minds are fresh, when we're excited, when we're thinking about it. No, carrying a gun is carrying it when you're tired, when you're bored, when you're annoyed, when you don't really feel good, when it's, late at night and all you want to do is get home. That's when you're carrying guns. You're carrying them all the time. And so we want to have that redundancy system that keeps us from doing dumb things. Okay? All right. Now, when it comes to concealed carry training is fantastic in that you have to, many states require you to go through the state-approved course, okay? And that's something that we just have to deal with, and we understand it. But do not confuse the state-approved concealed carry program with training. Unfortunately, the vast majority of concealed carry courses that are approved by the state, what they're filled with is liability and can't or don't. I've sat through classes where they spent almost the entire program telling me what I was not allowed to do. You can't carry here. You can't carry there. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do this. It seemed like, the whole time I was in there, if you do this, you will be wrong. If you do this, you will be prosecuted. If you do this. And by the time, the first break came up, I was thinking, why am I even here? I mean, according to this class, eventually I'm going to be wrong and I'm going to get in trouble. So just forget it. I'm not going to carry a gun. That's what a lot of them are designed that. And if you had one or you have an experience that was better than that, fantastic. And I'm glad for you. But I want you to realize this, that your first class is not the end. It's the beginning. That is the beginning. Because if you want to be confident, if you want to have confidence in your skills and your abilities, how do you get that confidence? Well, you get it through experience, you get it through education, and you get it through the development of skill. And how can you do that? Well, you obviously can do that by attending classes. Now, you guys know, if you're students of the gun, you know that we recommend that you should never stop seeking knowledge. You should never stop seeking training. You should never stop seeking information. The moment that you stop and you say, "Oh, I'm good enough. I know enough," you're done. You just stop it. Because do you want a doctor? Would you go to a doctor who has not had any continued education, training, or experience since 1984? Somebody's going to cut you open and work on your heart, and the last time they had any training was 1984. Is that the doctor or the surgeon you want to go to? Or do you want to go to the surgeon that just graduated from an advanced heart surgery clinic last week or 2 months ago? I think I want the heart surgeon that's sharp. I think I want the heart surgeon that is completely and totally up to date on everything. That's probably the guy that I want. And if you're going to carry a gun, if you're going to use something to protect your very life, protect the lives of your family members, do you want to do it just okay, or do you want to be exceedingly well and skilled? Do you want to be skilled at it? And that's where I want to be. I think that's where you probably should want to be as well. Remember, you're a beginner once, but you're a student for life, right? How can we do that? Well, we have a lot of good friends at Student of the Gun. We have our friends up in Tennessee at Tactical Response. We have our friends in Ohio at TDI, Ohio, Tactical Defense Institute. If you can get into a John Farnham class, John Farnham is a traveling instructor. He goes all over the nation, and his website is Defense Training International, DTI. Go to John's website. You can look it up, see if he's going to be near you. I highly recommend, if John Farnham is going to be anywhere near you, that you jump into one of his classes. John's been doing it for going on 40 years now. Yeah, going on 40. So, and he's not going to do it forever. So if you want to get into one of John's classes, get into one. If you are in Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Texas, anywhere, or if you're just motivated and you want to come down and visit us here down at the glorious Gulf Coast, free America. Jared's looking at me. Jared just gave me the finger, but he didn't give me the middle finger. He gave me the wrap it up finger. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to tell you guys that each and every one of you within the sound of my voice has an invitation from me, Professor Paul, to come and train with us at Student of the Gun University. Go to the website, go to studentofthegungear.com, click on the training courses and see if there's anything that interests you. We've got handgun courses, we got the Beyond the Band-Aid, we got the use of force options classes, and you can come down here and train with us. Now, don't forget about Student of the Gun TV, Dish Network Channel 266, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch the show. And by the time you hear my voice, there will be brand new episodes. That's right. I know. Brand new material on Student of the Gun TV. If you have the Roku box or if you have Apple TV, you can see us now by going to the Wilderness Channel app, and you'll be able to check out the schedule. It's brand new. It just started. Check out the schedule, and you can see us on your smart TV. Go to studentofthegun.com, check out the archives. You can watch it from your computer device. You can also, obviously, download, maybe not obviously, but the app on your iPhone, on your smartphone, on your iPad. You can take Student of the Gun with you everywhere you go. It is free to you because of our good friends at Century Arms. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for part 2 of this week's episode. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. Jared appreciates it. We hope that we will see you all, or at least some of you, very soon in the near future as we advance and move into the new year with all of our Student of the Gun training classes. Now, remember, you're a beginner once. You should be a student for life.